my favorite kids. Today I'm going to be reading you one of my favorite books about school, and it is called A Fine, Fine School by Sharon Creech, and the illustrations are by Harry Bliss. Mr. Keene was principal who loved his school. Every morning he strolled down the hallway and he saw the children in their classes. He saw them learning shapes and colors and numbers and letters. He saw them reading and writing and drawing and painting. He saw them making dinosaurs and forts and pyramids. "Oh," he would say, "aren't these fine children? Aren't these fine teachers? Isn't this a fine, fine school?" Near Mr. Keene's school, Tilly lived with her parents and her brother and her dog, Beans, in a small house next to a big tree. There's Beans. He's playing catcher, I guess. On Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays, Tilly went off to school. At school, Tilly learned her shapes and colors and numbers and letters. Sometimes when she saw Mr. Keene standing in the hallway, he waved. "Aren't these fine children?" he said to himself. "Aren't these fine teachers? Isn't this a fine, fine school?" On the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, Tilly climbed her favorite tree. "I'm stuck. Get help!" She took Beans on walks and threw him sticks. "Let go now, Beans." She pushed her brother on a swing and tried to teach him how to skip. "Be one with the skip," her brother's thinking. But on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays, Tilly went off to school. Beans and her brother did not like to see her go. "Hurry, hurry, hurry home," her brother called. Aw, he's not old enough to go to school yet. One day, Mr. Keene called all the students and teachers together and said, "This is such a fine, fine school. I love this school. Let's have more school. From now on, let's have school on Saturdays too." The teachers and the students did not want to go to school on Saturdays, but no one knew how to tell Mr. Keene that. He was so proud of the children and the teachers, of all the learning they were doing every day. Eek, take a look at those faces. Would you want to go to school on Saturdays? And so, that Saturday, Tilly set off for school. "But it's a Saturday! What about the swings?" her brother called. The following month, Mr. Keene announced, "This is such a fine, fine school. I love this school. Let's have more school. From now on, let's have school on Sundays too." The teachers and the students did not want to go to school on Sundays, but no one knew how to tell Mr. Keene that. He was so proud of the children and the teachers, of all the learning they were doing every day. Uh-oh. I like the banner. It says, "Why not study while you chew?" And so that Sunday, Tilly set off for school. "But it's Sunday! What about the skipping?" her brother called. Oh my gosh. Even the squirrel is reading a book. He's reading a magazine or maybe a newspaper. The following month, Mr. Keene called everyone together and said, "This is such a fine, fine school. I love this school. Let's have more school. From now on, let's have school on holidays too. On Easter and Ramadan and Thanksgiving and Christmas and Hanukkah. On all the holidays, on every calendar." The teachers and the students did not want to go to school on holidays, but no one knew how to tell Mr. Keene that. He was so proud of the children and the teachers, of all the learning they were doing every day. And so, on Christmas, Tilly went off for school. But it's Christmas! What about Christmas? Her brother called. The following month, Mr. Keene called everyone together, and he said, I bet you can guess what he said. This is such a fine, fine school. I love this school. Let's have more school. From now on, let's have school in the summer too. All summer long, every single day. How much we will learn, he said. We can learn everything. We will learn about numbers and letters and colors and shapes, the Romans and the Egyptians and the Greeks. We will learn about the dinosaurs and castles and everything. We will learn everything. Oh my gosh, look at the students. The teachers and the students did not want to go to school on Saturdays and Sundays and holidays and all summer long every single day. But no one knew how to tell Mr. Keene that. He was so proud of the children and of the teachers and all the learning they were doing every day. And so, on the first day of summer, Tilly set off for school. But it's summer! What about summer? Her brother called. I feel bad for her little brother. Oh my gosh. Look at these big tests tomorrow. Massive quiz, huge test. Get more Post-its. And that day, Tilly went to see Mr. Keene. She stood in his office in front of his desk. What a fine, fine school this is, Mr. Keene said. What amazing things everyone is learning. Yes, Tilly said, we certainly are learning some amazing things. A fine, fine school, Mr. Keene said. But, Tilly said, not everyone is learning. What? Said Mr. Keene. He looked very worried. Who? Who isn't learning? Tell me, and I will see that they learn. My dog Beans hasn't learned how to sit, said Tilly, and he hasn't learned how to jump over the creek. Oh, Mr. Keene said. And my little brother hasn't learned how to swing or skip. Oh, Mr. Keene said. And she said, but you go to school, Mr. Keene said. To our fine, fine school. True, Tilly said, but I haven't learned how to climb very high in my tree, and I haven't learned how to sit in my tree for a whole hour. Oh, Mr. Keene said. That day, Mr. Keene walked up and down the halls, looking at the children and the teachers. Up and down he walked, up and down, up and down. These kids look kind of miserable, huh? The next morning, Mr. Keene called everyone together. The children and the teachers were very worried, understandably so. Mr. Keene said, "This is a fine, fine school with fine, fine children and fine, fine teachers, but not everyone is learning." The children and the teachers were very, very worried. Mr. Keene said, "There are dogs who need to learn how to sit and how to jump creeks." What did he mean? Was he going to make their dogs come to school? Oh my gosh, it says, "I will not lick my classmates. I will not lick my classmates." There are little brothers and sisters who need to learn how to swing and how to skip. What did he mean? Was he going to make the younger brothers and sisters come to school too? The children and the teachers were very, very worried. And you, All of you, children and teachers, you need to learn to climb a tree and sit in it for an hour, Mr. Keene said. Oh my gosh, look at what they're imagining. 20 minutes to go. The children and the teachers were very worried. And so, from now on, we will not have school on Saturdays and Sundays or holidays or in the summer. Woohoo! A huge, enormous, roaring cheer soared up to the ceiling and floated out the windows, and so that everyone in the town heard the fine, fine children and the fine, fine teachers shout, "Fine, fine, fine!" Woohoo! And the fine, fine children and the fine, fine teachers lifted Mr. Keene up, and they carried him down the hallway and out the doors and through the town, up and down, in and out, and everywhere they went, the people said, what fine, fine teachers and fine, fine children and a fine, fine principal. So, you might be missing school a little bit. I know I am. But remember, there's so many wonderful things for you to learn outside the classroom. All right? Can't wait to read you another book soon. Bye, everyone.